People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People of Seven on Twitter and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps look at Purple Butterfly soaps.myshopify.com, my blog, purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. And this has been an interesting week. I finally took the Christmas tree down and moved the mirror to put it in the closet and then moved the mirror back. I think I'm going to sell that mirror because it's too heavy to put on the wall, and yeah, it's just taking up space at this point. I went to the doctor to do my platelet check, standard appointments, so forth and so on, and he said my platelets were 699, which is higher than it was at the time of my first stroke, which, I mean, on 10/29/2013, my platelets were 633. And then they gave me heparin, which dropped my platelets down to almost zero. And they discovered I was allergic to heparin, and they had to get my platelets back up because that almost killed me. So, yeah, almost 700 puts me past stroke stage. So they've adjusted my medicine. I'm back to the hydroxyurea. They had switched me to droxy because the hydroxyurea was dropping my levels too fast. So the droxia was supposed to tweak it back to a normal range. And apparently that didn't work. So yeah, if nothing else, they're going to end up having me do hydroxyurea one day and droxy the next day. But in the meantime, that brings up all kinds of issues. I mean, I keep getting sleepy at the drop of a hat, but you don't want to spend your life asleep. Plus, that also makes me high risk for another stroke. I'm on blood thinners, so everything will keep flowing, but I'm still high risk for a clot. And as the doctor said, he'd rather have a bleed than a clot. I don't necessarily agree with that, but anyway. Because, see, if you have a bleed, that means you might not stop bleeding. And if you have a clot, the clot may or may not land certain places, like in the legs is a DVT, I have that. In the heart, it would be a heart attack. In the brain, it's a stroke. I've had 2 of those and many TIAs. I know exactly what to do for that. In the lungs is a pulmonary embolism. I've already had one of those. Given a choice, I would rather not deal with clots, but clots are kind of manageable. If you get a bleed, basically, how fast can you get to the hospital? And then, if they can't stop the bleeding, a whole nother issue. But yeah, high platelets are not good. That's a whole nother issue. Just thought I'd update you. Just say a prayer that I could get the platelets down quickly. I have reinstated my fall zone. So that way, if I get dizzy and pass out or faint or whatever, I'm not going to land on something that can potentially hurt me. Which is why it's called a fall zone. Let me just show you. There's literally an empty area where if I felt dizzy or something like that, I can aim for that area so that way I don't fall like where there's something crunchy or sharp or can poke me or whatever. I also have a fall zone from my bedroom to my bathroom, and then of course the hallway here, and yeah. Fall zones were instated when I lived on Catalina and had just came home from having the first stroke. They said, you know, put pillows down, have a fall zone, so forth, so on. I'm going, huh? Of course, at that point in time, I could barely remember my name, let alone new rules. And I had a cane, then I had two canes, then I graduated to the rollator, but it was like I lived on the second floor of that house, and mainly my goal was getting to my room and getting from my room to the downstairs without incident. You know, it was like sit on the step, then sit on the next step, then sit on the next step. I could do that without my cane, you know, especially if I was holding food. And then I moved downstairs, and that got easier because, you know, I could just walk on one flight. But the rollator wouldn't fit in that particular room because the hallway was narrow. So basically, it was like get to the door of the room, park the rollator, and I moved my bed because it was facing this way where the window was. I moved my bed laterally so that way, the moment I opened my door, my bed was right there. So all I had to do was get to the bed, and I could just crawl to the, you know, top of the bed or whatever. So that way, basically, I had it set up where there was a refrigerator behind me. There was my TV right there. Basically, my bed became my apartment. The only thing I had to do mainly was get to the bathroom, which was, you know, just down the hallway on the same floor. I didn't have to do steps anymore. So now we're back to stroke stage. I'm in an apartment that has security. I need to tell the doorman that my intercom has had issues because if there is an issue, I could press the intercom and they can send 911. You know, I could call 911 myself if I remember, but I know to hit that button. They have been informed that there's this issue, so basically they're going to check on me every day until I tell them, you know, chill out with that. But at least once a day they will call me or buzz the intercom so that way they can make sure I'm not in here decomposing. I do crack me up, but I am a little bit serious about that. Yeah, I do have a flair of the dramatics, don't I? And then my daughter, she's a morbid little thing. She be like, Ma, and then she goes, well, I did go through that whole panic attack over nothing. It's like, right. Now she has a reason to panic and she's not. So, yeah. I just did my laundry. That wiped me out and then took a nap. And I washed my dishes this morning after I ate breakfast. Dishes that were sitting there from 2 days, you know. And that wiped me out. It's like the one thing I know about having increased platelets, I'm tired all the time. I should have realized my platelets were increasing when I kept needing naps, but yeah, that kind of flew over my head and off the radar. Because there's certain things that you have to be aware of every time. It's like, well, I'll show you. That's where they gave me my blood draw the other day. They got me twice. You see how big that bruise is from just, you know, doing the blood draw? I have to literally draw a circle around that, and then if it goes out of that circle, that means it's actively bleeding. I'm very aware of that. You know, those are things I have to do. So basically it's like, okay, this happened, that happened, okay, you're aware of this happening, that happening, red flag time. But I missed that one. So yeah. Um, I generally wake up at a certain time, I go to sleep at a certain time, I eat at a certain time. Um, 9:30 is breakfast time, and that's the time I take my meds and eat something. 6:30 is dinner time because I have to take my meds with the meal. Well, most of them with a meal, and then there's a bedtime. Um, and even if I don't go to sleep, I have to take my meds at that particular time, which is 9:30 at night because it was 10, for bedtime. I kept falling asleep before 10. You wake up, it's 1 in the morning, you're going, oh, did I take my hydroxyurea? Oh, bummer, let me take that now. And since the medicine is based on a 24-hour system, it's not good to be late on that particular medicine. It's like the Januvia, I have to take 6:30 every day. If I wake up at 7, I still have to wait till 6:30 to take the Januvia because the way it works is 24 hours. So if you take it early, that can cause issues. Also, the metformin is also a 24-hour medicine. So if you take those medicines late, it affects your sugar level. If you take it too early, it affects your sugar level. So I just arbitrarily said, okay, I take my meds at 6:30 in the morning. Well, 9:30 in the morning. I'll take my evening meds at 9:30 in the evening because I'm awake at 9:30 every evening. If I feel like I'm falling asleep and it's going on 8ish or whatever, I might go ahead and take my evening meds so that way when I go to sleep, I don't have to worry about did I take it or did I not take it. Because, yeah, the first thing the doctor asked me when he seen my CBC and got my platelet level was, did you miss any doses of your hydroxyurea? And I went, I'm not on hydroxyurea. You put me on droxy, remember? Well, did you miss any doses? No. Oh, well, then we have an issue. And I said, what's the issue? And he said, your platelets are 699. And I went, oh, okay. What does that mean? And I knew what it meant. But my brain was stuck in that protect me mode. So basically, everything he said, I questioned because it's like the information goes in here, wanders around for a minute, then goes back out and does not compute. Because, yeah, when someone tells you something like that, it's like they told you the sky is purple with pink polka dots and they can prove it. So, yeah, you have to, that basically messes up your whole day. It's like, okay, so for the whole day, I was like, oh, man. And automatically I started thinking, okay, what am I eating? Did I do this? Do I do that? So forth, so on. What can I do in the interim? What did the doctor say? I told him put everything in my chart because I had this little annoying tendency. You give me bad news, I zone out. Which, yeah, if I hadn't looked at my chart to see exactly what steps I'm supposed to take now, I wouldn't know what the steps were because literally I zoned out. It's like when they did the surgery for my thyroid. Um, I had this goiter type nodule on my neck, and when I went to one doctor about it, they sent me to another doctor who sent me to another doctor. That third doctor said, oh, we need a second opinion, although technically it was a third opinion. The third doctor said, that has to come out. His name was Dr. Kyriakis. I remember his name. I don't remember the other two doctors' names. I remember his name. My mom was there, and when he said, oh, that has to come out, she said, come out, how do you mean? And he said, I have an opening on February the 8th. We could remove your thyroid then. Lakeia had left the building. I mean, I'm sitting here in the middle of this consultation. He's talking, mom's writing down stuff because she already knows I wasn't there anymore. It was like, did not compute. And they opened me up, took out half of my left thyroid lobe, and the base of my throat. They called it a thyroglossal six trunk procedure, which was what they were going to do in the first place. And then they took out part of my thyroid, and apparently I had a mass, and they said it was malignant, and life for me changed at that moment. I, to this day, can't have fish, anything with iodine in it. Well, there's a whole list of foods I can't have because I can no longer process anything with iodine in it. So I'm on a low to no iodine for life, and I'm permanently hypothyroid instead of hyperthyroid. And see, that was the issue. They first thought I was hyperthyroid, and then my symptoms changed. They said, well, you might be hypothyroid. Well, it turns out I was both. The goiter was pressing on, the part of your body that produces the thyroid hormone or whatever. So when the goiter was pressing, it was blocking. So then my levels were low. And then when, especially if you turn over at night or whatever. So then now you get a flood of the thyroid hormone because the blockage is gone. And that resulted in a condition called a storm, which basically was like having a heart attack from here to here. Everything was, man, just look up thyroid storm. You know what I mean. And that was my life for, a year or two before they took out my thyroid. So here we are. My platelets were up to 633 when normal is 400 and something, and I just had a stroke. So then they put me on all these medicines. They kept me in the hospital for 12 days while they was trying to figure out how come her platelets went from here to there and now backed up to here because of the heparin. So, your new reality, you get used to stuff. So, my life is a certain way. I get up at the same time, I eat at the same time, I sleep at the same time. I try to have a quality life in between all these little factors. And then you go for a routine doctor's appointment and they tell you something that basically makes me zone out again. Like, what? I don't even remember driving home. I know I did drive home because I'm here. But yeah, it's like I was on autopilot for that. So I picked up my medicine and came home. But yeah, the first thing I did after that, other than tell my daughter, I got in my bed and I was finna take a nap when she said, hey, how about we go for ice cream? And I went, okay, ice cream sounds nice. But got one little thing. I'm lactose intolerant. When I get ice cream, I usually go to UDF because they have a lactate version of their ice cream, which means my body can process it. Or I go to Graders because they also have a lactate version of ice cream. Or I'll get something like yogurt, which for some odd reason, even though it's a dairy product, I guess it's the way that they process it. Frozen yogurt doesn't bother me, but dairy products in this raw state in the form of ice cream, never mind the fact that I'm diabetic and I'm not supposed to have that much sugar. Yeah, like I said, I zoned out. So I went to Dairy Queen with my daughter. She had something that had no dairy in it whatsoever. I probably should have followed her lead. And the baby had a little blizzard that was this big, and it still took me a while to eat it. And I had the moo latte because it basically was a coffee blizzard. and I love my coffee. And I barely got home before rumble, rumble, rumble. Oh. So I kind of had to be by myself for a couple of hours until that went through my system. And then I ate my dinner and took my medicine and went to sleep. I woke up early today. I made some oatmeal because my stomach was growling. I had to wait till 9:30 to take my medicine. So even though the medicine that lowers my sugar level was after the food I ate, it still works out because it's within that 24-hour span. Then I went to wash the plate and went, oh, there's three other plates in the sink, so I went ahead and washed the dishes. Then I took a nap because that wiped me out. Then I did the laundry and took a nap because that wiped me out. So, yeah, now I'm finna have another cup of coffee because basically it's not even 4 o'clock and I, okay, it's 3:14. I can't be taking another nap this early because dinner is at 6:30 and if you sleep too much, then you end up wide awake at bedtime and yeah, that usually ends up being a rough night. And I already had a rough night. So, yeah. I just figured I would update you. Keep me in prayer. The platelets need to come down quickly. I'm taking my medicine. I am eating foods that I know help lower platelets. And I am surviving. I am not going to do anything that's going to cause issue because I can't be having another stroke. No, ain't trying to go there. Nope, 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 nope. I just got over a sinus infection thing. That's as much of an illness I want to deal with right now. Sinus, allergy, take some Benadryl, life goes on. Yeah, this platelet thing, it's been annoying for years. I am not going to let it win. I'm not claiming it. But I do have to follow the guidelines to get them platelets down and, follow my doctor's advice, so forth and so on. So we'll be concentrating on that. This is People7 on Twitter and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps are located at purplebutterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog, purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye now.